to Mr. Rainwater's flipped classroom. This video is going to be for the 6th grade. I am doing the Chapter 4, Lesson 1, where we're getting into the United States in our chapter, and Lesson 1 deals with its physical features. There is a cool little video that you can watch from the website that we logged into today. So if you're watching this tonight, this is October 2nd, so if we're looking at the guided reading, which I've attached to the Google Classroom, you can print that out or you can handwrite it, or however. It's easier if you print it out, but if you don't, or if you can find a way to do it online, that's fine too. As long as you have something to look at when we're talking about it tomorrow in class. Some of those things, it's the physical features. The essential question that we're talking about is, how does geography influence the way people live? So you see the very first thing there is write a T or an F in the blank, and if it's false, you rewrite it, or rewrite the underlined letter on the line, or it might say rewrite the whole thing correctly, so changing one letter or two letters. So we are talking with the first thing about bodies of water. Bodies of water is an interesting thing in the United States, especially when my internet is slow and I'm trying to get it on here. Yes, I'm doing this at school. Yes, I'm doing this at my desk. You can tell from behind me. Speaking of which, if you guys have any comments that you want to make, just bring them to school tomorrow, and feel free to tell me what kind of background I should have, or should I do something different? I don't really know, but okay. Back to the lesson. Lesson 1, we have the guiding question. We're trying to answer, how do the bodies of water in the United States affect people's lives? There are 4 things that I want you to know about this. First thing is, oceans, lakes, and rivers have helped make the United States prosperous. If I'm going too fast, you can pause the video, of course, and redo it, and go back and rewrite any of these things. So I know some of y'all say, he talks too fast. Well, in the videos I get to do that. You just get to pause it and everything, so it makes it all better. Second thing I want you to know is the United States is bordered by the Atlantic coast, or the Atlantic Ocean in the east, and the Pacific Ocean in the west. The Gulf of Mexico is in the south, and these bodies of water connect the country to other regions for trade. The United States is in a very unique and very tactful location for trade among the bodies of water. The third thing I want you to know is the Great Lakes form the largest group of freshwater lakes in the world. Some of y'all get pretty excited when I started talking about that, so if you know some things tomorrow, bring your ideas and bring your questions and comments, and we'll discuss those. It's pretty interesting. The one that I'm most familiar with is the Mississippi River. This is the fourth thing. 4. Mississippi River system has affected the settlement patterns, economy, and lifestyles of Americans for hundreds of years. So the things that I just want you to know is, what landform, this is the progress check here, what landform is crossed by the rivers that flow from the Rocky Mountains to the Mississippi River? That might be a Plickers question. It might just be a discussion question tomorrow. So be able to discuss that. And if you're taking notes, those 4 things, that was our bodies of water that we're going to need to know about. Tomorrow I'll show you a couple of videos and some pictures about the Gulf Coast and how it formed and that kind of thing. So let me get back to where I was. You guys don't know that the internet gets a little bit more fickle when y'all leave, and kind of stuck here. So we're doing physical features. The next section that we're going to talk about is the landscape and resources. So how does the landscape and resource of an area affect how people live? Well, if we think about it, obviously people are not going to live in bad areas. They're not going to live in areas that can't grow anything, that can't um, sustain life. So internet again is a little bit slow. It's loading up my notes here. And so the main ideas that we're going to talk about in this section is the mineral and energy resources that are below the surface of the coastal plains and along the Atlantic and Gulf coasts. So if you remember Texas coast areas and off the coast of um, the Northeast and a little bit off of the Northwest, you have oil and things that uh, uh, provide those resources for Americans. So naturally, people are going to move there because of a couple of reasons: jobs, and it's easier to get those resources when they're right there. So, second thing in this section, the Appalachian Mountains is the oldest and the longest chain of mountains east of the Mississippi River. It begins in Alabama and continues north to the Canadian border. You'll need to know that it begins in Alabama and continues north to the Canadian border. The Appalachian Mountains is a fascinating mountain chain that I'm kind of familiar with. I think we had a discussion about hiking the Appalachian Trail and everything, and how we know a couple of true hikers. Pretty fascinating. If you want a little bit of extra knowledge, look that up on Google and come back with some information. It'd be kind of neat to talk about. The third thing is the Great Plains are mostly flatlands with some rolling hills that lie west of the Mississippi River. That includes a little bit of us there, but most of that is north of here. The Rocky Mountains are cordillera. Forgive me, I cannot say this word correctly. They're a mountain chain that extends from Canada to Mexico. And the Rocky Mountains, I guess we are really familiar with, Colorado and Wyoming, and those areas. Those mountainous areas are beautiful, beautiful to visit. If you get a chance to go, please go. So after landscapes, we're going to talk about the climates. This will be our last section. So we're trying to answer the question, how does the climate of an area affect how people live? So, I mean, that's kind of one of those duh questions that we have. Remember, we do have duh questions. However, we want to spell it out in words. And again, my computer is very slow. It's coming up. I try to time it. So as more videos that we do, the timing will come. So how does the climate affect how people live? The main ideas, there's three of them. There's just three short ones. The first one is the climate of the United States is varied and to include three of them. You need to know these three. They're subtropical, continental, and semi-arid. I'll say it one more time. The climates of the United States are varied and include three: subtropical, continental, and semi-arid. And we will talk a little bit about what those three actually mean, and which one of those do you think we live in down here in Texas. The second point is coastal climates tend to be a little mild, while the existing trees and mountains affects the climates in the inland areas. So we can kind of say a little bit about how the plant life and things like that affect the climate. The third point is natural hazards like tornadoes are more common in the Great Plains, while the coastal areas experience hurricanes. The Pacific coast also faces earthquakes, mudslides, and wildfires. So if I were to ask a question, maybe something like, which area gets the most tornadoes? Well, the correct answer would be, that's right, the Great Plains. So the Great Plains are, like Tornado Alley and everything. And of course, the coastal areas, this is a duh statement, get hurricanes. Now, occasionally hurricanes do go inland and go up north and get into the plains areas, but they have to go through the coastal areas first. And the Pacific coast, they do have earthquakes over there. California is known for them. They get them all the time. There's the San Andreas Fault, the most famous fault in that area. And they have mudslides and wildfires. Be prepared to talk about why do you think they get wildfires. So that is our 3 things there. And in reflection, I'm going to show some videos, and we're going to have a short self-check when we come in. We'll take a short little quiz and everything, and your Plickers quiz for daily purposes and things like that. So when we get into it and you come in tomorrow, make sure you have your guided reading activity, the worksheet either printed out or it's on your computer, and we're able to talk about it. We may not have had all of the things in there filled out. You can work ahead if you would like to. You have access to the book, so certainly don't have to. Alrighty, that concludes the lecture. Please leave your comments to yourself for now. Bring them to class tomorrow to tell me how to improve these videos. Alright, hope you had a good time, and hope you got all the notes. Look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. Alrighty.